Hello there, and welcome into Sportsline on NewsChannel 5 Plus. I'm Steve Lehman. Glad to be here with you tonight. Glad you guys are here with us. We are getting set about an hour away from puck drop between the Predators and Avalanche, Game 3 out in Denver, and we will get you completely set for that tonight on the program. We want to hear from you guys as well. 737-7767 is the number. Call us up. What did you think about Games 1 and 2? What did you think about how this series has shaken out so far? Other thoughts in the NHL playoffs. To me, the Predators did their job at home. Games 1 and 2, they won. They protected home ice. But the old saying goes that a playoff series doesn't really begin until some road team goes and takes a game away from home. Till the road team wins a game. Well, tonight's that opportunity. The Predators were the best road team in the National Hockey League this season. Can they go to Colorado tonight and get a road win and really, in earnest, take control of this series with a 3-0 series lead? It's going to be difficult. Colorado's been good at home this season, but the Preds seem to have their number. They've won 12 in a row, 5 in a row in Denver. They've played really, really well against them. Now, I think Colorado has surprised a lot of people in this series because Colorado has not looked intimidated. This is a team with a lot of talent on the top lines and a lot of young guys. They've come out and they've played free and loose and for the most part pretty well. They had a stretch in Game 2 where it wasn't their best hockey. But for the most part, they've played pretty well in this series. And they haven't backed down from the Predators in any way, shape, or form. For the people out there who thought, oh, the Predators are the President's Trophy champions, they are just going to cruise. I've got news for you. This is the NHL. This is the Stanley Cup playoffs. Everybody is good, and this is a league full of parity. No one is that much better than anyone else, and the sport of hockey just lends itself to tight games, fluky bounces that can change games and change series. And so for the Predators to come out and win those 2 games, that was huge. But the other part of that is they didn't play their best hockey in those 2 games. They're going to need to find that. Maybe not necessarily in this series, because I think they are better than the Avalanche by a considerable margin. If they continue to play the way they did in the first 2 games, it may not be a sweep, but I think ultimately they will prevail. Probably in 5 games, maybe 6 at the most. But I think that's where they are. They want to find their next level, though, because life is going to get harder in these playoffs. If you've watched the Jets at all in their first 3 games against the Wild, different level. The Jets have played phenomenal hockey so far. Remember, they finished second in the President's Trophy race. So even though it's going to be a second-round opponent for the Predators in all likelihood, that's the 2 best teams in hockey in the regular season according to record, because of the way the playoffs break down divisionally. It's essentially the Central Division championship in the postseason when the Predators and Jets meet in round 2. Predators had 117 points in the regular season. The Jets had 114 points. Second best record in all of hockey. That's round 2. So you've got to be ready for that. You've got to be ready to go in round 2. And then if you get past that, you know, you're probably facing Vegas, maybe San Jose, and obviously there's several teams in the East, the Bruins, the Lightning, the Penguins, that have all looked really good so far. So the Predators have played good enough to win 2 games, but they need to find another level here in the postseason. 737-7767 is the number. We want to hear from you guys tonight on the program. What did you think of those first 2 games? What do you think about this series now as we get set for Game 3 coming up 9 o'clock tonight Central Time, 8 o'clock out in Denver. Coming up on the program, we will hear from John Glennon, who has covered the Predators from day number 1. He'll talk to us a little bit more about this series and about the NHL playoffs. Also hear from some of the Preds as they get set for game number 3 tonight as well. But we want to hear from you guys. 737-7767, the number. Phone lines are wide open. Game 1. The Avs jumped out to that lead early on. Remember, in both of these games, the Avs scored on their very first shot attempt. Got on the board just like that and made the Predators play from behind. I thought in Game 1, the Preds came out not sluggish. They were ready, but they just didn't have a crisp rhythm to their game. missed on a lot of passes. They had some turnovers. Pecorine bailed them out from a couple of those turnovers to keep it a 1-0 game, but they just didn't really have a rhythm through the first 20 minutes of game one. Austin Watson had a huge goal in that game to make it 1-1 and kind of get the crowd going and get them back into it at the start of the second period. Avs got one back shortly after that, but then Craig Smith gets a power play goal to tie it up. And from that point on, the Predators were the better team in game one. Last 30 minutes, they were significantly the better team. Philip Forsberg with a pair of goals in that game. They put up 5 in all. Pekka with some big-time saves, and you win it 5-2. Game two again, Avs score on their very first shot. You're down 1-0 after one. I thought that was a better effort. The shot in game two, a little bit more fluky of how it happened. It was a bad turnover that set it up. But for the most part, I thought the Preds controlled game number two in the first period. They did not do that in the first game. So they're down 1-0 again into game two. Again, it's a power play goal that kind of sparks the rally, and the top line comes up with a couple more goals. Philip Forsberg had 2 big ones in the first game. Victor Arvidsson, Ryan Johansson with big ones in game number 2. And then, of course, Austin Watson with another big goal in that one. Ryan Hartman gets his first ever playoff goal as an empty netter late. Preds hold on 5-4 after the Avs got kind of a meaningless goal in the final 30 seconds or so. So they lead it 2-0. Now you go to Colorado. Can you go win on the road? Something the Preds were so good at this year. Best record in hockey away from home at 25-9-2. Can they steal one of these games and come back here on Friday with a chance to close out the series and limit yourself to only 1 trip in round 1? That's got to be the goal. I mean, if you can win it in 4, fantastic. But if you can come back here with a chance to win and close it out on your home ice on Friday and limit your travel in round 1, will be big. Because remember, you've got likely Winnipeg in round 2. That's going to be a more difficult travel series. And then you're going to the West Coast for the Western Conference Final. It's already Colorado here. You're going to altitude and all that. The less you have to do that in the playoffs, the better off you are. So that's the goal for the Preds. Try to steal one, starting with Game 3 tonight. All right, much more to get to tonight. We'll hear from Kyle Turris, the captain Roman Josi, Peter Laviolette, and others on the program. Plus, John Glennon was with us last night on the Electric Power Company Sunday Sports Central. He'll help us break down this series between the Predators and Avalanche and also go around the NHL playoffs a little bit as well. We are just getting started here. We're getting you set for puck drop in Denver about an hour from now. Game 3 tonight between the Predators and Avalanche. Stay tuned. Much more Sportsline on the way right after this here on News Channel 5+.